What's going on, buddy? And welcome back into Heated Shenanigans Podcast. And I'm your host, Scott, and I am joined again today by unquestionably the most sought after free agent in professional wrestling, the one and only Missa Kate. How are you doing, Missa?
Good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Well, you have been very, very busy, to say the least, in the last couple of weeks.
A little bit.
You've been everywhere. Sean Ross Sapp had you on his show, Hitting the Mark podcast. I believe you were on that as well.
Yes. I've been on, I think in the past few weeks, I want to say like 5 or 6. Yeah.
Give or take.
I can't keep track.
Well, again, all of this started after you and the NWA had mutually agreed to come to terms and go off to do separate things. And since then, it has just been, what's the next move for Missa? Jordan and I had talked about it on a prior live episode, and I want to get where you're at, Missa. Like, there's so many people speculating your future and saying where you should go, what you should go do. But honestly, how are you feeling? You have the pick of the litter. Anybody could message you right now at any minute, and you could be off to any of the major companies. How are you feeling?
Good. I'm excited and nervous because I don't know what's to come next, but that's the nerve-wracking part. But at the same time, the excited part is like, okay, what's gonna come next? So yeah, I guess overall that's how I feel. Yeah, wrestling's really freaking cool right now, so I'm very blessed that there's like any opportunity that I could get anywhere. I'll be very lucky. So yeah, I could see I know it's funny, I could see myself like in kind of any company. Just because even like the women's division in each company is freaking fantastic. So something that people have mentioned to me too, even colleagues of mine, because they know this is something I've been wanting to do, is possibly go to Japan and train for a couple months. So that's also on my mind also, but yeah, I'm kind of all over the place because I'm like, I have this newfound freedom, so it's kind of like, okay, what am I going to do with it now? How am I going to capitalize? So yeah, I'm just kind of like riding the wave and like trusting God, honestly, like whatever his plan is for me, like I'm trying to, just trying to follow it.
And saying everywhere that I have turned as of late, again, all the big ones have had you on their podcast for discussion of this very topic. And it's got to be exciting for you having so much in front of you, and you've not even hit your peak. You're not even in your like prime yet. You still have so much ahead of you, and you're already so good as you are right now.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
oh, you're most welcome. I mean, you and Ari absolutely killed it at the last show we had for Every Child Wins. What an incredible match.
Even though I got tattooed after, but whatever, we won't talk about it.
I see that you have probably paid a good bit of money to get that tattoo removed.
Yeah. Luckily, I sold a lot of feet pics and got it paid for.
You got to do what you got to do, I guess, to get rid of the tattoo. Well, and I wanted to talk about it because dating back to the departure from NWA, how do you feel that you have grown since leaving the NWA and now seeing what's in front of you versus when you first got to the NWA?
Well, when I first got there, I was not familiar with TV. Again, on the indies, they kind of just teach you like, hey, hard cam's this way. And they're just like, if you can try to, go that way. So that's kind of the direction that we got. I mean, luckily, who I was training under, like I trained under Bryce Benjamin. So he like, again, I'm knocking him, but he never really worked TV. So he would even admit like, look, I don't know all the ins and outs. I just know like, kind of like if you can like place your body certain ways for certain things. So he would try from the knowledge that he had. But that's the most knowledge that I got. So when I actually went to NWA, now I'm talking to people that have been wrestling for a while, that have been to major companies before NWA, like WWE, TNA, whatnot. So, and the agents, right? So Jazz also is the female agent. So having her and other people just kind of be like, hey, hard cam, work the side, I call them side cams, but roaming cams. But yeah, just like certain angles, certain things. And, you need to, you're not just working for the crowd, you're working for everybody watching. So that was also another adjustment. So I think more than anything, going into coming out, that's what I've learned the most. And I think to me, that's what makes you more professional, right? So being there, I learned a lot how to be more professional in the ring. I understood camera work a little bit more, like promos and segments and all that stuff. And, time, you got to be on your times, or, um, and even like little stuff from hair, makeup, you got to be here at a certain time, and like do what you got to do, learn what you got to, get done, talk to your this, that, whatever. So overall, just like working TV. Um, and yeah, it's just, and again, of course, the different knowledge that I've gotten for psychology and all that fun stuff. But yeah.
Well, and the other thing you had mentioned going to Japan and trying that out, which Japan with professional wrestling, it is a religion there. It is not a sport. It is a deep rooted meaning to everybody in Japan. And you are able to work any style with anybody. You are bulletproof against anybody in the ring. When you go to Japan, when you go to Japan, what are you wanting to do with your style? Like, are you wanting to change your style? Are you trying to adapt to a different style? What's the thought process for how you want to work in Japan?
It's a good question. I like that. For me, I've always wanted to learn all styles. So again, Bryce Benjamin kind of had a little bit of a luchador background working with Discovery. So again, when I say this, I'm not saying I'm a luchador, but I know a little bit enough to get through matches and understand and how to work with luchas. But I still want to fully like indulge and understand that um version of wrestling completely, right? That style of wrestling. So I guess I apply that to Japan, right? The closest that I ever got to understanding like Japan style wrestling is Ricky Marvin, because again, he originally started Mexico lucha, went over to Japan, and he kind of found like a little bit of a hybrid. Like he would bring lucha over there, but that was the most knowledge that I would get is when I would do his seminars. And I just always found it interesting how it's something so little, like there's a big difference, it's obviously between American and all this stuff, right? But there's something like how much something so little makes such a big difference. Um, and that's what interested me in that style. So just the psychology, and again, people always say like, oh, American style is like a bunch of theatrics. I'm like, no, Japan style is too. It's just done in a different way. Um, Sometimes they go way over the top, but there's still people that have more of that realism. Example, Megan Bain, right?
Mm.
Megasis. She still has that realism, but she's still a character. When she goes there, she's an attraction. So that's kind of, I guess, something that I want to go there for, is to find, Missa has many faces. What face will she have in Japan?
Are we talking like a complete overhaul of the look? Are you thinking of changing it up or?
Maybe, who knows? I have some ideas in mind, um, to see like where that would go. Um, Maybe find like a happy medium between like a Joker Missa and actual Missa, who knows? But yeah, I just want to push myself. I always appreciated and respected how they do things over there. Any stories that I would hear of people that went to train there, I just I don't know, I know it's gonna be hard, and that's why I wanted to, I guess, challenge myself, and to me, if you could make it in Japan, you can make a name for yourself in Japan, that's a good thing, and, that's something I guess I wanna accomplish.
It's a great goal, and it's a goal I think everybody on independent or in the higher three-letter companies should really seek out being able to work the Japan style, the schedule, get that crowd experience because again, over there, it's a religion, it's not a sport, and it
Right,
means
it's very different interaction too.
yeah, and the thing is like your character growth over there. You are so good as a heel. You're I mean this respectfully, but you're easy to hate. So,
Thank you. I've gotten that a lot growing up.
oh, really?
Oh yeah. I find fun in pissing people off and annoying people. So of course, right, my character would do the same. So, but yeah, I was always for the lack of a better word, but I always like being a little shit growing up sometimes. Bart Simpson, right, from The Simpsons.
Mhm.
I always was a fan of his, so you know.
Drew a little bit from The Simpsons, like everybody does.
100%.
So, I mean, again, it's been talked about so much what is in store for you for your future. You've talked about it on so many other places. What does it mean to you to be at a point in your career where there are very serious discussions of TNA, AEW, WWE? How does Missa the person, not the performer, how does Missa the person feel about being able to have reached this point in life?
Um, Still not hitting fully yet, because I'm just like, okay, until I'm there, I, because wrestling, you're always given promises, and until you're actually signed somewhere, um, you can't believe anything, right? So I don't think it's fully registering yet. Again, even with NWA, I remember before I signed, I know there was different people getting contracts here and there. And in my head, I was like, oh, well, they're not talking to me. Like, it's not going to happen. So when it did, it was very much like, oh my God. Again, I don't happy cry. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've happy cried in my life. And Mr. Ego Robert Anthony made me cry because he had to have a dad moment a little bit. It's just like, good job, kid. And that's all it took. And I was like, and he was like, oh no. So, yeah. So it's like, because again, NWA was my first wrestling contract. So that's something that you always strive to achieve, right? And I got it. And it was very like it and that's when it hit me. Like, okay, it's happening. So now until it happens again, I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm still grinding. Indie bookings, podcasts, like all this stuff. I still want to do. I want to do as much as I can. I want to still, now that I have more freedom to take bookings, to take podcasts, just everything, right?
Mhm.
Um, I want to do as much as I can because I don't like saying make up for lost time because I don't believe in lost time. Everything happens for a reason. So but I definitely want to do everything I can to, while I have in this space and time. I know I keep saying time, apologizing. Um, just pretty much just to fit everything in because this is still a learning curve for me. I still want to wrestle people. I have people saying they want to wrestle me, so I'm like, okay, let's go. So yeah, I'm just trying to do as much as I can, and it's that alone is really freaking cool for me to say that people want to wrestle me, or I have that option of like now people are asking me, promoters asking me, okay, who do you want to wrestle? And that alone to me is freaking awesome. So again, going back full circle to the question they're actually asking me, um, it's insane in the most beautiful way because I luckily people like Jordan in my circle, right? Like I have a very tight circle. Because of them, they made me realize like, hey, you've kind of worked your ass off. So you're like, you're gonna do great. Like, no matter where you go, you got this. And having that is beautiful. So just whatever my next chapter is, I'm very excited, and you always dream about getting to this point. You always dream about being able to be in this position, and now that you're here, it's kind of like, is this real? Like, nah, like I'm waiting to get punked.
Ashton Kutcher pops out with the camera, and it's all been for naught. But as we wind down here, I want to, on a very serious note, though, for everybody out there listening, all the promoters, executive, whoever's out there watching. My guest today, Missa Kate, is somebody who has worked her ass off to get to where she is at, and you would be making a unbelievable oversight, not taking the due diligence to look into Missa's work and to bring her in for one of your shows or make her a mainstay on your roster while you can and have that opportunity. Missa will add a level of legitimacy and credibility to your roster. And I personally am so excited for what you have coming up. And I wish you absolutely nothing but the very best.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
And again, I don't say it lightly. You have been one of the absolute best I have seen in the ring. I mean, I've had the privilege of seeing a lot of the greats on the independent scene, but whatever comes next, whether it be any of the major three companies, AEW, WWE, TNA, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, whomever it is that ends up getting you under a contract with your services, they're getting the real deal. And I am so incredibly happy to have just been a part of even this conversation on this ride, as Missa Mania is going to be gearing up here pretty soon to come to a town near you.
100%. Yeah. And it's like, I'm excited. I know I'm saying like I've been working hard, but again, to me, that's what you're supposed to do to get to the level that you're at, right? So I'm ready to kick it up into a new gear in a different way. So I'm very excited. Yeah, I like challenges. I'm not good at quitting stuff. I'm very stubborn. So very interested to see where the future holds for me.
Well, as we close out here, Missa, do you have any upcoming appearances you want to make people aware of? Anything, any other podcasts you have coming up?
The best thing I could say right now is to follow me on Instagram or Twitter. So then that way you could just keep up to date, which is Missa Kate 23, MISSAKATE 23. Yeah, it just makes it easier for everybody. I do have some shows coming up. This Sunday I have Second Wrestling. I'm wrestling Heather Monroe over here in Illinois for the Second Wrestling Championship, which I hold. It's an intergender belt, so it's the championship of the entire company. And so I guess that's my most upcoming show, but there's definitely going to be a lot of fun surprises along the way. Ever since I announced my NWA, I don't want to say release, but I don't know, departure, we'll say, however you want to phrase it. A lot of fun conversations have been had. So keep an eye out, even like indie promotion stuff like that. I'm gonna be popping up in some new places. So, and again, I'm open to pop up more places.
Say also, guys, for bookings, make sure to reach out to Jordan Kramer, Missa's agent, for booking information to get Missa at your upcoming show. And guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Heated Shenanigans Podcast. Again, I want to thank my incredible guest, Missa Kate, for her time. She's been very, very busy as she accepts her flowers humbly at the end of this episode.
Oh, always humbly, of course.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Everybody out there, take care, and we will see you on the next